I stood outside the boarded-up storefront on Rat U Thit Road in Patong, staring at the weathered plywood, covering the windows where $350,000 worth of beauty salon equipment and renovation was supposed to be. And the crushing realization washed over me that the business I had invested my retirement savings into had never been a real business at all. The padlock on the door was rusted. The grand opening banner we had hung together 2 weeks ago had been torn down, and the neighbors who ran the motorcycle shop next door told me in broken English that the space had been empty for months, that no salon had ever operated here, that the woman I knew as Lily had only visited once to take photos with me. My phone still showed our last text exchange from yesterday morning, her words still glowing on the screen. "Working late at salon, darling. So much to do before we open tomorrow. I love you so much." Our dreams are coming true, but her number was now disconnected. Her line account showed user not found, and the woman who had called me every single day for 9 months, who had cried in my arms about her struggling business, who had shown me government permits and lease agreements and architectural plans, had vanished as completely as if she had never existed. I was 64 years old, standing in the humid Phuket heat with sweat dripping down my back, having sold my IT consulting business and moved halfway around the world to build a future with a woman I thought was my equal, my partner, my chance at happiness after years of loneliness. And all I had left was $135,000 in my bank account, and the soul-destroying understanding that every moment of our relationship had been a calculated lie designed to separate me from everything I had worked 40 years to build. If you've been enjoying the stories I create, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Your support is crucial for the growth of this channel and helps me dedicate time to making these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. I need to start by telling you who I was before Phuket, before Lily, before I lost everything, because the David Mitchell who existed before this catastrophe would have laughed at the idea that he could be scammed. I was not some naive tourist wandering into a bar and falling for the first pretty face that smiled at him. I was a 64-year-old man with a successful career, a good education, and what I thought was enough life experience to recognize deception when I saw it. My name is David Mitchell, though everyone calls me Dave, and I spent 42 years working in technology. I started as a programmer in the early 80s, worked my way up through various tech companies in Seattle, and eventually started my own IT consulting firm when I was 45. Mitchell Solutions was a small operation, never more than 8 employees, but we specialized in helping mid-sized businesses transition their systems to the cloud, and we were good at it, very good. By the time I sold the company at 62, we had built a reputation for reliability and expertise that made the business attractive to a larger consulting firm looking to expand their Pacific Northwest presence. I sold Mitchell Solutions for $650,000, added that to my existing retirement savings, and found myself at 62 years old with nearly $900,000 in liquid assets. Not wealthy by Seattle standards, where tech millionaires were common, but more than enough to retire comfortably, and maybe even indulge in some of the experiences I had postponed for decades while building the business. I was married to a woman named Jennifer for 28 years. We had one daughter, Emily, who was now 32, and living in Portland with her partner. Jennifer and I had what I thought was a solid marriage, built on mutual respect and shared goals. But 5 years ago, shortly after our daughter moved out, Jennifer sat me down and told me she wanted a divorce. Not because of any dramatic betrayal or conflict, but because, as she put it, we've been business partners raising a child for 3 decades, but we stopped being lovers or even friends somewhere along the way. I don't want to spend my remaining years in a relationship that feels like a corporate merger. The divorce was civil, almost friendly. We split everything 50-50. She kept the house we had lived in for 20 years, and I bought a condo closer to downtown Seattle. We stayed in touch for Emily's sake, meeting for the occasional family dinner, maintaining the appearance of amicable exes. But the truth was, the divorce devastated me in ways I did not let anyone see. I had built my entire adult life around work and family, and suddenly half of that structure was gone. My daughter was busy with her own life, visiting maybe once a month. My few close friends were all married couples who slowly stopped inviting me to gatherings once I became single. Work had been my identity for so long that without it, I felt hollow. After I sold the business and officially retired, the hollowness became unbearable. I would wake up in my condo with nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one expecting me anywhere. I tried to fill the void with hobbies, taking up photography and cooking classes, but none of it addressed the core problem. I was profoundly lonely. I started reading online forums about early retirement and expatriate life, places where people discussed moving to countries with lower costs of living and better weather. Thailand came up repeatedly. The articles painted a picture of a country where Western retirees could live comfortably on modest budgets, where the culture was welcoming to foreigners, where life was simpler and less stressful than in America. But more than the practical benefits, what drew me to these stories was the subtext I read between the lines. People finding companionship in Thailand, finding partners who genuinely cared for them, finding second chances at happiness. I told myself I was being practical, researching cost of living and visa requirements. But what I was really researching was whether loneliness was curable, whether starting over in a completely new place could erase the profound isolation I felt every single day. After a year of research and internal debate, I made my decision. I would move to Phuket for at least a year, rent an apartment, and see if this could be the fresh start I needed. If it did not work out, I could always return to Seattle, but I had to try. The alternative, staying in that condo alone for the next 20 or 30 years, was unthinkable. I told Emily about my plan over dinner at her apartment in Portland. She was concerned, as I expected. "Dad, you don't know anything about Thailand. You don't speak Thai." And honestly, a 63-year-old American man moving to Phuket, people are going to assume you're going for the wrong reasons. "I'm going because I'm lonely, Emily, and because staying in Seattle is killing me slowly." She studied my face and must have seen the desperation I was trying to hide, because her expression softened. "Just be careful, Dad, please. There are people who prey on lonely foreigners." "I'll be careful," I promised. "I'm not stupid. I can spot a scam." I believed that when I said it. I genuinely believed that my intelligence and life experience made me immune to manipulation. I was catastrophically wrong. I created a profile on an international dating site 3 months before I planned to move to Thailand. I told myself I was just getting a sense of what was out there, maybe making a friend or two before I arrived. But really, I was already searching for what I was missing: connection. Within days, I received dozens of messages. Most were obviously fake or clearly transactional. Profiles of women in their early 20s, sending identical generic messages to every Western man on the site. But one profile caught my attention because it was so different from the others. Her name was Fawani Chanziri, though her profile said she went by Lily. She was 34 years old, lived in Phuket, and her profile pictures showed an elegant, confident woman in business attire, rather than the provocative beach photos that filled so many other profiles. Her bio was articulate and specific: independent salon owner, looking for mature partner who values honesty and hard work, not interested in games or short-term arrangements. I built my business myself, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. She sent me a message that was unlike anything else in my inbox. "Hello, David. I noticed your profile mentions IT Consulting. I'm curious what made you choose Thailand for retirement. Most people I meet here don't seem to have a real plan beyond enjoying the beaches. You seem more thoughtful than that." Her message intrigued me because it was intelligent and showed she had actually read my profile. I wrote back, and we began a conversation that felt different from the start. She asked me about my business, about what it was like to build and sell a company, about why I had gotten divorced. She shared details about her own life that felt genuine and specific. She owned a small beauty salon in Patong, had studied cosmetology in Bangkok, and was struggling to keep the business afloat due to rising rents and increased competition from chain salons. We moved from the dating site to line messaging and then to video calls. Seeing her face on my screen, watching her expressions as we talked, made her feel incredibly real. She was beautiful, yes, but what attracted me more was her intelligence and apparent independence. She did not ask me for anything. She did not compliment my appearance or say things designed to flatter my ego. Instead, we had actual conversations about business challenges, about the difficulties of being self-employed, about relationships and what it takes to build something lasting. "I've been burned before by men who only wanted one thing," she told me during one of our video calls. "I'm not interested in being someone's vacation girlfriend. I want a real partner, someone who understands that I have my own life and my own goals." I think maybe that's why most Thai women date foreigners, but most foreigners just want someone young and pretty who doesn't challenge them. You seem different, David. I am different, I told her. I want a partner, not a dependent. I want someone with ambition and intelligence. Someone like you. She smiled, and I felt something stir in my chest that had been dormant for years. Over the next 6 months, before I even arrived in Thailand, Lily and I talked every single day, sometimes for hours. She showed me her salon via video call, walking me through the small space with its styling chairs and product displays. She introduced me over video to her younger sister, who also worked at the salon. She talked about her parents, who lived in Chiang Mai and relied on her financially. Everything about her life seemed consistent, detailed, and believable. She also shared her struggles with genuine vulnerability. The salon was not doing well financially. Her landlord was demanding higher rent. Chain salons were undercutting her prices. She was considering closing the business and finding regular employment, which would be more stable but would feel like giving up on her dream. I put everything I had into this salon, she told me one night, her eyes glistening with tears on the video call. I took out loans, worked 18-hour days, but sometimes I wonder if it was all for nothing. Maybe I'm not meant to be a business owner. Don't give up, I told her, moved by her passion and determination. You built something from nothing. That takes incredible strength. The right partner could help you turn things around. She looked at me through the screen with an expression I interpreted as hope, mixed with cautious optimism. Do you really think so? I know so. I built a business from nothing too. I understand the challenges, and I understand how much easier it is when you have someone supporting you. Those conversations created an intimacy between us that felt profound. By the time I boarded the plane to Thailand, I was not going to meet a woman I had chatted with online. I was going to meet someone who already felt like my partner. I arrived in Phuket on a sweltering afternoon in late October, and Lily was waiting for me at the airport. Seeing her in person for the first time was surreal, like a character from a dream suddenly becoming tangible. She was even more beautiful than she appeared on video, dressed in a tasteful dress and heels, looking nothing like the stereotypical image of Thai women pursuing foreign men. She greeted me with a warm hug, but not inappropriately familiar, respecting boundaries while conveying genuine affection. Welcome to Thailand, David. I'm so happy you're finally here. We went for dinner at a nice seafood restaurant overlooking the beach, and the conversation flowed as easily in person as it had over video. She asked about my flight, about my first impressions of Phuket, about whether I was nervous about this new chapter of my life. Honestly, yes, I admitted. I'm 63 years old and starting over in a place where I don't speak the language or understand the culture. It's terrifying and exciting at the same time. You're very brave, she said, touching my hand across the table. Not many people have the courage to change their life so completely. I admire that. Over the next several weeks, Lily and I fell into a natural rhythm. I rented a furnished apartment in Patong, a comfortable 2-bedroom place with a view of the beach, for 25,000 baht per month, about $750. Lily would visit me after closing her salon, and we would cook dinner together, watch movies, talk about our days. She introduced me to her friends, other Thai women who owned small businesses, and they welcomed me warmly. What impressed me most was that Lily maintained her independence. She had her own apartment, her own business, her own life. She never asked to stay at my place permanently or suggested I should support her financially. In fact, she often insisted on paying for meals or splitting costs. I'm not looking for a sponsor, she told me firmly one evening when I tried to pay for her dinner. I want to be your equal, David, not your dependent. This attitude made me trust her completely. She was everything I had hoped to find: intelligent, independent, beautiful, and genuinely interested in building something real together. After 3 months of dating, Lily brought up her business struggles again. We were sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset, when she said quietly, I think I might have to close the salon. My lease is up in 4 months, and the landlord wants to triple my rent. I can't afford that, and I can't find another location that's affordable and has good foot traffic. Have you looked at spaces outside of the main tourist area? I asked. I have, but then I lose all my regular customers. Most of them work or live in Patong. If I move somewhere remote, I'd be starting from zero. I thought about the problem from a business perspective. What if instead of moving, you renegotiated with the landlord? Or better yet, what if you expanded the business to justify the higher rent? More services, more stylists, More revenue? Lily looked at me with surprise. Expand? David? I don't have the capital for that. Expansion would mean renovating the space, buying new equipment, hiring more staff. That would cost at least $200,000. What if we did it together? I said, the idea forming as I spoke. I have capital. You have the expertise and the existing business. We could be partners, expand the salon into something that can handle the higher rent and generate real profit. She stared at me, her expression unreadable. David, I couldn't ask you to do that. That's a huge investment. What if it doesn't work? You're not asking. I'm offering. I believe in you, Lily, and I believe in us. Let's build something together. Tears filled her eyes. You would really do that for me? For us? Yes, I said, taking her hand. Let's build our future together. Over the next several weeks, Lily and I planned the expansion in detail. She showed me her business records, her client lists, her revenue and expense statements. Everything looked legitimate and matched what she had told me about the salon's performance. We discussed hiring additional stylists, adding services like nail treatments and massage, renovating the space to accommodate more clients simultaneously. Lily introduced me to her landlord, a middle-aged Thai man who spoke limited English, but communicated through Lily that he was willing to offer us a new 5-year lease at a higher rate if we could demonstrate financial stability. This seemed reasonable and encouraged me that we were building something with a secure foundation. She also introduced me to a business consultant, a Thai man named Somchai, who she said specialized in helping small businesses navigate Thai regulations and paperwork. Somchai explained, through Lily's translation, that the most straightforward arrangement would be for the business to remain registered solely in Lily's name since Thai law restricted foreign ownership in certain sectors, but we could create a separate investment agreement that protected my capital and entitled me to 50% of the profits. This is standard for foreign investors in Thai businesses, Somchai assured me in broken English. You give investment, we make legal document, you protect it under Thai law. He showed me sample documents, official-looking papers with government stamps and seals. Everything appeared legitimate, especially since Lily herself expressed some hesitation about accepting such a large investment. Are you absolutely sure about this, David? She asked one evening as we reviewed the expansion plans. This is almost half of your retirement savings. What if something goes wrong? Nothing will go wrong, I said confidently. We're doing this the right way, with proper legal documentation and a solid business plan. And even if the business somehow failed, which I don't think it will, I'd still have enough left to live comfortably. But it won't fail, Lily, not with both of us working together. She hugged me tightly. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, David. I promise I'll work so hard to make this succeed. We're going to build something beautiful together. The total investment, after accounting for the renovation, new equipment, inventory, hiring costs, and a financial buffer, came to $350,000. It was a substantial amount, nearly 40% of my total savings, but it seemed justified by the potential returns. A successful salon in a high-traffic tourist area could generate significant revenue, easily justifying the investment within a few years. I transferred the money in 2 installments. First, $175,000 to secure the lease and begin renovations. Lily took me to what she said was the district office to file the paperwork, and I watched as officials stamped and signed documents that I could not read but that appeared official and legitimate. The second installment of $175,000 came a month later, designated for equipment, inventory, and hiring. Lily showed me the renovation progress, a space being gutted and rebuilt with new lighting, flooring, and styling stations. Workers were present, actively working. I took photos to send to Emily, showing her that I was building something real and legitimate. Lily and I also grew closer emotionally during this period. We talked about marriage, about the future, about eventually buying a house together somewhere, quieter than Patong, perhaps in the hills overlooking the ocean. She met my daughter via video call, and while Emily was polite, I could sense her skepticism. After the call, Emily sent me a text. Dad, I hope you know what you're doing. This is a lot of money, and a woman you've known for less than a year. Please be careful. I'm being careful, I replied. I'm not some naive tourist. Lily is a legitimate businesswoman, and we're building something together with proper legal protection. I was annoyed by Emily's doubt. She did not understand what I had found in Lily. did not understand that this was not about being manipulated by a pretty face, but about two adults building a genuine partnership. The renovation was scheduled to complete in early February, and Lily and I planned a grand opening celebration for February 15th. She created flyers, posted announcements on social media, invited her existing clients and local businesses to the event. We ordered champagne and small appetizers, planning to make it a proper celebration. I was proud, genuinely proud of what we were building together. This was not just Lily's business anymore. It was ours. Our shared project, our shared future. The week before the opening, I flew back to Seattle for 10 days to handle some administrative matters with my accountant and to visit Emily. It was the first time I had left Thailand since arriving 5 months earlier, and I missed Lily terribly. We talked every day via video call, and she showed me the finishing touches being added to the salon. New signage, product displays being stocked, the final coat of paint going on the walls. "It looks amazing," I told her during one call. "I can't wait to see it in person." "It's all because of you, darling," she said, blowing me a kiss through the screen. "We're going to be so successful. I can feel it." While in Seattle, I had dinner with Emily and her partner. I showed them photos of the salon, of Lily and me together, of the life I was building. "You seem happy, Dad," Emily said cautiously. "I just worry that you're moving very fast with someone you don't know that well." "I know her well enough," I said, perhaps more defensively than necessary. "She's not what you're assuming, Emily. She's educated, independent, and hardworking. She's my partner, not someone trying to use me." Emily dropped the subject, but I could see the concern in her eyes. I returned to Phuket on February 13th, 2 days before the grand opening. I texted Lily from the airport. "Just landed. Can't wait to see you in the salon tomorrow. I love you." She replied almost immediately, "I love you too. Get some rest from jet lag. Tomorrow will be a big day. So much to do before opening. See you tomorrow evening." The next morning, February 14th, I texted her again. "Good morning, beautiful. What time should I come by the salon today? Want to help with any last-minute preparations?" No response. I assumed she was busy with the final details. By afternoon, I was getting concerned. I tried calling. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I sent messages online. They showed delivered, but not read. By evening, I was worried enough that I decided to go to the salon myself. I took a taxi to Rat Uthit Road, to the address where the salon was supposed to be. What I found made my blood run cold. The storefront was boarded up with plywood. No sign, no lights, no indication that a business had ever operated there or was about to open. I stood on the sidewalk, staring at the weathered boards covering the windows, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. This had to be the wrong address. I checked the location on my phone. No, this was exactly where Lily had shown me the salon via video call, exactly where I had visited during the renovation. I walked to the motorcycle rental shop next door and asked the young Thai man working there, "Excuse me, do you know what happened to the salon next door?" He looked confused. "Salon? No salon there. Space empty for long time, maybe 6 months. But there was a renovation happening. Workers, construction. I saw it." He shook his head. "No, sir. No renovation. Space just empty." The world tilted. I walked back to the boarded-up storefront and pulled on the padlock. It was rusted, old, clearly not recently installed. I peered through a gap in the plywood and saw an empty space with concrete floors and bare walls. No styling chairs, no equipment, no sign that a beauty salon had ever existed. I tried calling Lily again. The number was now completely disconnected, not even going to voicemail. I opened line and sent desperate messages. "Lily, where are you? I'm at the salon and it's boarded up. Please call me. I'm worried something happened to you." The messages showed failed to send. Her account had been deleted or I had been blocked. I pulled up her Facebook profile on my phone. Page not found. Every digital trace of Fawani Lily Chanziri had been erased. I stood there on the sidewalk, other pedestrians flowing around me, and the horrible understanding crashed over me like a wave. The renovation I had seen on video calls had been somewhere else, some other location that she had access to temporarily, perhaps another actual renovation that she filmed and pretended was ours. The business documents I had signed were fake. The government officials who had stamped the papers were probably actors or paid accomplices. The landlord I had met was not a landlord. Somchai, the business consultant, was not a consultant. Every single element of the business investment had been an elaborate theater production, and I had been the only one who did not know it was fake. $350,000 gone, vanished into accounts that probably did not even belong to the woman I knew as Lily. I went to the Patong police station, walking in a daze, my mind still trying to find some alternative explanation that did not end with me being the fool who lost everything. A police officer who spoke reasonable English took my statement, his expression growing increasingly sympathetic as I explained what had happened. I showed him everything: the bank transfer records, the investment agreement Sumchai had prepared, the photos of the renovation, the screenshots of my conversations with Lily. "Sir, I am very sorry," the officer said when I finished. "This is not first time I see this kind of case. We will investigate, but I must be honest with you about what we will find." He pulled up the documents on his computer. "This business license, it is forgery. See this number here? This is not real license number format. And this stamp, it is not correct for Phuket District Office. And this investment agreement, it has no legal value because the business itself is not real business." "But I saw the renovation," I protested weakly. "I saw workers. I saw progress." "They show you different locations, sir. Or they rent space for short time, do small work, take photos, then disappear. Very common technique. Can you find her? Track the money?" The officer looked doubtful. "We will try. But the name Falwane Chanziri, I find 6 women with this name in system. We can check each one, but likely this is fake identity. The bank account where you sent money, it is probably account opened with fake documents or borrowed identity. By now, money is moved many times to many accounts, very difficult to trace. So I'm never getting it back." "I am sorry, sir. Probably not." I left the police station with a case number and no hope. I returned to my apartment and sat on the balcony, watching the sun set over Patong Bay, trying to calculate how badly I had been destroyed. $350,000 gone from my original $900,000 in retirement savings. I had also spent approximately $50,000 on living expenses over the past 5 months. That left me with roughly $500,000 remaining. No, wait. I needed to be more precise because precision suddenly mattered desperately. I logged into my bank accounts and checked the exact balances. After all expenses, transfers, and the money I had set aside for taxes on the business sale, I had exactly $135,000 in liquid assets. $135,000 at 64 years old in a foreign country, with no job, no business, and no partner. I called Emily. It was morning in Portland. She answered on the second ring. "Dad, is everything okay? How did the grand opening go?" And then I told her everything. The empty storefront, the disconnected number, the fake documents, the $350,000 that had vanished along with the woman I thought I was building a future with. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, her voice carefully controlled, "Dad, I'm so sorry. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Are you safe? Do you need me to wire you money?" "I'm safe, and I have enough money left to survive. Emily, I'm so sorry. I was so stupid." "You weren't stupid, Dad. You were lonely, and someone exploited that. Are you coming home?" I looked around my apartment, at the life I had built here, at the view I woke up to every morning. I don't know. Coming home feels like admitting complete defeat, but staying here feels like living in the scene of my own humiliation. "Whatever you decide, I'm here for you. We'll figure this out." After we hung up, I sat alone with the magnitude of what I had lost. Not just the money, though that was devastating enough. I had lost the future I thought I was building. I had lost the partnership I believed in. I had lost my sense of judgment and my confidence in my ability to navigate the world. Lily had not just stolen my money. She had stolen the future I thought we were creating together. The days after discovering the truth blurred together in a haze of shock, denial, and gradually settling despair. I went through the motions of existing without actually living. I would wake up, make coffee, sit on my balcony, and stare at the ocean while my mind replayed every conversation with Lily, analyzing every moment for clues I had missed. The clues had been there, I realized. Small inconsistencies I had dismissed because I wanted so badly to believe in what we had. The way she never let me visit her apartment, always insisting we stay at my place. The fact that I never met her parents, despite months of her talking about them. The business consultant, Sumchai, who always communicated through Lily rather than directly with me. The renovation that I only ever saw via video call or photos, never visiting the actual site in person. Each dismissed red flag felt like evidence of my own desperate need to believe I had found something real. The police investigation went nowhere, exactly as the officer had predicted. They found 3 women named Fawani Chanziri in Phuket, none of whom matched the woman I knew. The bank account where I had sent the money had been opened with forged documents and closed within days of the final transfer. The money dispersed to multiple accounts across Southeast Asia, impossible to trace. This was professional operation, the officer told me when I checked on the case 2 weeks later. They do this before, they do again. Very sorry, but we cannot recover your money. I had to make practical decisions about my survival. My apartment in Patong cost 25,000 baht per month, about $750. That was too expensive now. I found a small studio apartment in a less touristy part of Patong for 8,000 baht monthly, approximately $240. The studio was basic, 1 room with a bed, a small kitchenette, a bathroom. The building was older, the neighborhood less attractive, but it was affordable. I also needed income. My remaining $135,000 would not last forever, even with drastically reduced expenses. Social Security would not begin for another 2 years, and when it did, the monthly payment would be only about $1,800, barely enough to cover even basic living expenses in Thailand. I started looking for work options available to a 64-year-old American in Thailand with no teaching credentials and limited Thai language skills. The options were depressingly limited. Finally, I found online English teaching companies that hired native speakers to teach Chinese and Korean children via video call. The pay was modest, about $18 per hour, and the hours were inconvenient, usually early morning or late evening to match student schedules in other time zones. But it was income. I started teaching 20 hours per week, earning about $1,400 per month. Combined with careful budgeting, I could survive. This was my new life. At 64 years old, having sold a successful business and planned for a comfortable retirement, I was living in a studio apartment and teaching English to children online for barely above minimum wage. The expat community in Phuket was supportive in ways I had not expected. Word spread about what had happened to me, and other expats reached out, some with similar stories, some just offering sympathy. I learned that I was far from the only Western man who had lost substantial money to romance scams in Thailand, though my amount was larger than most. "You're in good company, mate," an Australian man named Peter told me over coffee one afternoon. "I lost 80,000 to a woman who said she needed it for her mother's cancer treatment. Turned out the mother didn't exist. That was 3 years ago. You learn to live with it." But I did not want to just live with it. I wanted to understand how I had been so thoroughly deceived. 2 years have passed since I discovered the empty storefront on Rat Uthit Road. I am now 66 years old, still living in that small studio apartment in Patong, still teaching English online to support myself. My Social Security payments finally began 6 months ago, which improved my financial situation somewhat. Between the teaching income and Social Security, I now have about $3,000 per month, enough to save a little and occasionally allow myself small luxuries like eating at a nice restaurant or taking a day trip to one of the islands. I am no longer in financial crisis, but I will never have the retirement I planned. The comfortable life I envisioned, traveling, pursuing hobbies, maybe buying a small house, is gone. I will spend the rest of my life working and watching my budget, always aware that one serious health problem or unexpected expense could destroy the precarious stability I have rebuilt. Emily visits once a year now. She has stopped saying, "I told you so," though I can see it in her eyes every time she looks at my tiny apartment. She has offered multiple times to help me financially, to bring me back to the States, but I have refused. This is my mess, and I will live with it. I think about Lily every day, not with longing or residual affection, but with a kind of analytical fascination. Was anything about her real? Did she feel even a momentary flicker of genuine affection for me? Or was every smile, every touch, every "I love you" a calculated performance? I will never know. The police never found her. She is probably operating under a different identity now, targeting a different lonely man with a different elaborate story. Maybe she is being more careful, or maybe she is in another country entirely, running the same con with new variations. What I have learned, at enormous cost, is that intelligence is no protection against emotional manipulation. I was not stupid. I was not uneducated. I had decades of business experience, but none of that mattered, because what Lily exploited was not my mind, but my heart. She identified my loneliness, my desire for partnership, my need to feel needed, and she used those vulnerabilities with surgical precision. She did not just steal my money. She stole the future I thought we were building together. She stole my confidence in my own judgment. She stole my ability to trust. I have become a cautionary tale in the expat community. New arrivals are told, don't be like Dave. Don't invest your money in someone else's business. Don't trust someone you've only known for a few months, no matter how legitimate they seem. I accept my role as a warning. If sharing my story prevents even one other person from making the same mistakes, then perhaps my catastrophic loss can have some small redemptive value. I sit now in my small studio apartment as another tropical evening falls over Phuket, the sounds of motorcycles and street vendors drifting through my window. I am 66 years old, teaching English online to survive, living in a one-room apartment with $135,000 left from the $900,000 I had when I arrived in Thailand. This is not the retirement I planned. This is not the future I envisioned when I sold my business and moved halfway around the world seeking warmth, simplicity, and love. But this is the life I have now, and every day I make the choice to keep going, to find small joys where I can, to survive with whatever dignity I have left. I wanted to start a new life. I did, just not the one I planned. If this story moved you, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, please consider subscribing to this channel. These stories are real. They happen every day, and they destroy lives that could have been saved with awareness and caution. Your support helps me continue documenting these cases and hopefully preventing others from falling into the same traps. Thank you for listening to Dave Mitchell's story. Thank you for being here.